So as you rightly said in your intro, it is the very first clashes that have been reported since the war began in the Middle East. And just so you know, an organization known as the International Christian Embassy Jerusalem, which is a religious group, on Sunday actually had called for people who stand with Israel to pray for the release of hostages that have been held in Gaza as we speak right now. And just in follow-up to that, there was also a pro-Palestinian protest that was ongoing, and they clashed, according to the French news agency Agence France Presse, which is AFP, that they clashed with this pro-Israeli protesters on Sunday, forcing local police to fire stun grenade and water cannons. As we speak now, there haven't been any casualties, and what happened yesterday perhaps could also be something that would happen, because again that institution has called for protest on Sunday, which is November the 19th. It is not clear as we speak what really led to that clash, but it also tells you about the sentiment that is around this particular situation on the continent.
Ignatius, which African countries have been vocal about this? What's really known, as far as you know, just been working on this story? What is currently the position of the African Union? Even though we heard from the analyst, what do we know about that, and what are Africans, talking about this, and what's their position?
So you know that it's been over a month since the conflict began. There have been several both pro-Israeli and pro-Palestinian protests that have been held. So you go to North Africa, there have been protests held in Rabat in Morocco, there have been protests held in Tunis in Tunisia, there have been protests held in Algiers in Algeria. You go to East Africa, we've also seen such protests happening in Kenya, for example. And just yesterday in Southern Africa, we also saw a pro-Palestinian protest happening in Harare in Zimbabwe, where the protesters were calling for a ceasefire. And as you know, since the war began, there have been protests that have been happening in South Africa, for example. And when you go to West Africa, we've also seen pro-Palestinian protests happening in Accra in Ghana. In fact, just a few days after the attack by Hamas on October 7th, the Ghanaian president has actually came out to speak publicly, saying that the country was behind Israel solidly, as has South African President Cyril Ramaphosa, as has Kigali's Paul Kagame. So you're seeing these countries stand up, in support of Israel, and you're also hearing from the publics who are saying that we do not think what's happening against the Palestinians in particular is right. What is not too clear is what the opposition is as far as the attack on Hamas, which is the militant group, is concerned. On the AU front, since that war began, they called for ceasefire. As we speak now, yesterday I've spoken to a couple of analysts looking at what is going to happen as we saw South Africa and Chad withdraw, and they are saying that they foresee more African states following suit.